Hello, hello. We're going to get into a little lesson today. Hello. We're going to get into a lesson, how to date like an ex-lover girl. Hello. I missed you guys. Hi. We're going to get into a little lesson today, how to date like an ex-lover girl. I missed you. Thank you. We'll give it a few minutes. We'll have some people join. And then we're going to get into it. How to date like an ex-lover girl. It's like the secret sauce. Good evening. Hello. We'll give it a few more minutes for people to join. And then we're going to dive into how to date like an ex-lover girl. Hello, hello. Hello. All right, if you're just joining, we're going to get into it in a minute. How to date like an ex-lover girl. What is up? Hello. Hi. All right, you guys, let's dive into the lesson because we have a lot to cover. Who is an ex-lover girl? Let's cover what I mean when I say ex-lover girl energy. This is the woman who haunts a man after they break up. This is the type of woman. Can you guys hear me okay? Let me know if this is not working, this mic. This is the kind of woman that a man, yes, thank you guys. The kind of woman that a man never truly moves on from. An ex-lover girl is that rare breed of woman who knows that she is the prize. She never tries to convince any man of her worth, and that is ultimately why she is forever irreplaceable to that man. It's not because she plays games. She's not an ex-lover girl, and she's not super memorable. She's not the one who got away because she plays games. It really all boils down to she knows her worth. She loves herself. She prioritizes herself. She knows that she is the prize. And that is irreplaceable. That is irreplaceable. Because as women, I believe, we are all conditioned through society to see all the things wrong with us. I know when I was growing up, there were all these magazines, how to slim your legs, all the outfits you have to wear to be good enough. We are literally told over and over again as women all the things wrong with ourselves. And that is why now, as adults, you literally have to decondition yourself to feel like you are not good enough. That's the truth. There are extremely rare cases where women just naturally feel worthy. The majority of us were told by society every single way that we're not good enough. And so now, as adults, we have to do the work to change that narrative in our head. And it's not always pretty, the work, but on the other side of that is a more empowered way of living. And this is how you become an ex-lover girl. Because once you've done that work, you have the mentality that you are that bitch. You never fear losing a man because you know fundamentally you never lose a man, he loses you. You become unstoppable. You become irreplaceable. It's not about manipulation. It kind of like irks me when I get comments like that, like, this is games, this is manipulation. No, this is magnetism combined with strategy. To me, it's the same way as if you wanted to get a job at JP Morgan, you wouldn't show up to the job interview talking about how you got trashed at the bar last weekend. That's not going to get you the outcome you're seeking. And it's the same way that when you were on a first date, if you want to date that guy, you don't show up to the date talking about all your exes who screwed you over. It's not going to give you the result that you're seeking. So it's not about manipulation. It's about having a strategy, getting what you want out of life. When I was younger, it only feels like manipulation if it doesn't come naturally to you. Yeah, that's fair. It's really just having a strategy, protecting your heart. These different things attract the right men and repel the wrong men. So now, if you're just joining the live, we're going to get into how to date like an ex-lover girl. So we're putting to bed today the lover girl version of yourself, the version of yourself who begged a man to choose her, the version of yourself who needed a man to feel worthy. We're taking back the power right now and becoming ex-lover girls. This is going to change the game for you. I certainly hope it does. So, number one, how to get a man interested in you. Before you've even spoken to him, before he's even asked you out on the date, how do you become the kind of woman who is magnetic to men? We're going to get into it. So, number one, realize statistically, people form first impressions within the first 5 seconds of meeting you. 5 seconds, you guys. That is how quickly you have to make a good impression on the hot guy you saw across the bar, to your new coworker who has a six-pack and a chiseled jaw, whatever your choice of poison is. 5 seconds. So embodying all of these qualities is going to help you make a great first impression. The first thing is moving slower. When you're really rushed and you're like chaotic and like this, and you're always like averting your eyes around, that's giving off the impression that you are very anxious. How do you feel around someone who's anxious? I'll speak for myself. When I'm around people who are like that, it like wears off on me. And I'm like, why do I now feel anxious for no reason? It's not a good energy. Like, it doesn't make me want to be around that person. The person I want to be around is someone who embodies confidence, someone who embodies poise, someone who feels comfortable in their own skin, because that also wears off. When I'm around people who love themselves, I can physically feel it, and it makes me like myself more. Be that. The second thing to make a good first impression is radiating presence, getting out of your own head. It's really easy when you meet a hot, cute guy to be hyper fixating on everything he's saying or what he's doing, or is he looking at you? Is he not looking at you? Does he like you? Is he interested? Is he not? I get the natural impulse to do that, but that's why you have to sink very deeply into presence, staying in the moment. That's magnetic energy. People who are just present with you, they don't want anything. Men can feel it when you are speaking to him and you so badly want him to ask you out. It's the same way as a woman. When you are speaking to a man and you know he so badly wants to sleep with you, it's like you can't really articulate it, but it's something in the air where it's like you can just tell he wants something. It's the same way. So being super present, you're not super attached to an outcome. Your worth doesn't depend on whether or not he asks you out. And really, I would boil this down to having the mentality of just having fun. You're not going out with your girlfriends on the weekend, desperately finding men. You're going out to have fun. Fun is an extremely high vibration. You will naturally attract in great men when you have the mentality of, I just want to have fun. But when your goal is, I have to find a guy or I don't feel good enough, there's like an angst to it. And it's not magnetic to men. It's really more repellent. So embodying presence, moving slower, having an attitude of, I'm just having fun. We're having a conversation. It's just fun. That's why a lot of times I feel like most of us can relate to this. I know I certainly can. It's easier to get your guy friend that you have no interest in dating to like you than to get the guy you actually like to like you. Why is that? Because with your guy friend, you can just kick the shit. You're not trying to get anything from him. You're not trying to impress him. You're just having fun. That's magnetic. Whereas with the guy you actually like, you're super attached to the conversation going a certain way. Are we connecting? You're in your head. You're wondering where it's going. Is he reciprocating? As well-intentioned as that is, it's not serving you. It's not serving you. The second thing to embody this magnetic ex-lover girl energy is your voice. Slower pace. Not talking really fast. Being really thoughtful about every word you say. So I talk to you guys like this because I'm trying to deliver as much information as possible. But when I'm on a date, oh, I love that. I would really enjoy getting a drink after this. That sounds great. Like, you're very thoughtful about your words. You're very selective. And this comes from the book 48 Laws of Power. When you are more thoughtful, more intentional about everything you say, people listen more. Think of it as like a queen energy. How would a queen talk? Or a boss? How would a boss talk in an office? A boss is okay with silence. A boss doesn't have to fill it in with chatter all the time. A boss commands the room, literally with just her voice. lower employees usually have to fill in the silence and they're really anxious and they're talking really fast because they're trying to da, da, da. It's showing jester energy, not queen energy. And all of you watching this, you are queens. So you want to portray yourself in that light. And the last thing to make a good first impression when you meet a man, so moving slower, presence, detaching from the outcome, slower pace and voice. And the last thing is eye contact. Eye contact can feel vulnerable when it is with a man that you are interested in. But here's the thing, when you hold eye contact with a man, yes, if you know, eye contact is huge. When you hold eye contact with a guy, it releases oxytocin in both you and him. It literally bonds you. It establishes intimacy without words. And what is it indirectly saying? It's indirectly telling him, I know I am worthy of speaking to you. People who are averting eye contact, it's because on some level, for whatever reason, they feel inferior. So understanding, first of all, none of us, I don't believe in leagues. I think we're all on the same playing field as humans. Leagues, I think, are made up in our heads of like who's important. No one's more or less important than anyone else. I really disagree with that. So understanding whoever you are on a date with, whoever you are speaking to, you are worthy to speak to them simply because you are human. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to earn it. And the feedback I get from my friends who, specifically men who are very successful, is that women are very intimidated to hold their eye contact. That's because they're really successful. On some level, these women don't feel, worthy. That's bullshit. All of you are worthy. I don't care if that guy was like the youngest billionaire to ever build a company, whatever. You're still that bitch. You're still worthy of speaking to him. So holding eye contact. Eye contact is like the feminine secret weapon. I made a guy shiver one time using solely my eye contact, and I'll tell you, nothing felt more powerful. It was like, wow, that is what any feminine woman can do, any woman. And understanding masculine men are seeking women like this. They're seeking women who have empowered, who love themselves, who feel worthy of them. That's the woman they're going to see long-term potential with. And the other thing, this like a little trick that I would do, if you see a guy that you like at the bar, for example, let him create the scenario where he is pursuing you, but you can sweeten the deal because there's this big misconception that if you are in your feminine, you're super passive. You're just sitting back to life. No. You have to take back the reins, take back control of your life. So if you see a guy that you like at the bar, if it were me, I would like somehow like in the room get closer to him and then ask him like, "Oh, I'm going to order a drink. What'd you get? Is it good?" Or, "Hey, do you have a pen I could borrow?" "Hey, my friend was telling me like the bathroom's over where?" So you're initiating contact, but where you want to cut it off is he needs to ask for your number. That's the masculine. At some point, he needs to step into his masculine and pursue you. That's where I would draw the line. Hard if this is making sense, you guys, or if you need me to dive into that more. Awesome. So creating that magnetic first impression. It's the way that you walk. It's the way that you speak. And it's also the chatter that's going on in your head. So if you're talking to a guy and you're constantly thinking in your head, "Oh my god, I'm being so weird. Oh my god, why am I so awkward? Oh my god, he's not into me." He can feel that on some level. So you have to literally remind yourself that you are worthy of speaking to him. It's going great. You're doing awesome. Fill your mind up with positive thoughts because that's going to radiate. Then there's going to be a flow to the conversation. And then it's going to feel natural. I need more reasons to make contact. I usually let them come to me. That's understandable. Making contact is vulnerable. Like there's a level of vulnerability to it. But I'll just be frank with you guys. I have seen and I've gotten feedback, not from close friends, because my close friends aren't like this, but like from men in general, that because dating apps are so prominent, men have kind of lost touch with the art of asking a woman out in the wild. Like they're a little out of practice because they can just lean back and use an app that requires very little vulnerability. So, understanding if you see a hot guy out, the likelihood he's going to come up and start a conversation with you, even if he's really interested in you, is at an all-time low, in my opinion. So, you can sweeten the deal by just initiating a conversation, asking to borrow a pen, asking where the bathroom is, asking what his favorite drink is here because you're just about to order one and you don't know which one to get. It doesn't take a lot of vulnerability because you're not like going up to him and being like, "Hey, you're really hot. Do you come here a lot?" That's vulnerable because you risk him being like, not interested back. But like you're just asking for a pen to borrow or you're just asking for the bathroom. It's like it's a good middle ground, in my opinion. And it really easily leads into other conversations. Now you've taken out the first step to him because a lot of men, the feedback I get from them is they are really nervous about rejection. And I've seen it, you guys, I've witnessed it. I live in New York City. I've been at places before where I see men, like seemingly kind of nice men, will walk up to women and they're like, "No." And whatever the woman's reason is for saying that, I'm not putting a woman down, but I'm saying it makes sense to me that a lot of men are apprehensive to go up to women in the wild. So it just helps if you're interested in him, sweeten the deal. Make the first step. As women, we need to make our life happen. We're not just sitting back and like allowing it to take us where we want to go. If you want a relationship, if you're interested in that guy, you're that bitch. You have nothing to lose. Whether he likes you or doesn't, you are still that bitch. Even to help him ask for a date, no. So you are taking the first step to initiate conversation, but you are not going so far as to ask for his number or ask him out. That is when he needs to step up in his masculine and ask you out. Because here's the thing, if he can't even ask for your number, he can't even ask you out, you're kind of setting yourself up for disappointment because that's likely a guy who doesn't know how to be in his masculine and pursue you. So even if you ask him out on a first date and he says yes and you go out, as you develop more and more feelings for him, that's a man in his feminine. And you're going to honestly continually be disappointed. So I would cut it off. If you are initiating the first conversation, cut it off if he's not taking the step to ask you out. Then he's not worthy of it. Remember, you were that bitch before you met that guy, and you will be that bitch long after he leaves. How he feels about you, irrelevant. Irrelevant. Hard if this is making sense, or let me know if you guys have any questions about this. Sorry, getting hot, getting fired. Okay. So if you're just joining, we're going through how to date like an ex-lover girl. The lover girl version of you is gone. Thank you. The lover girl version of you is gone. Now you're an ex-lover girl and you take back the power in your life. So part number 2, creating the chase. Men pursue women with a very certain specific type of energy. So men are wired to chase what they associate with effort and reward. So if a reward comes too easy, the dopamine spike drops and his interest fades. So let me explain what that means. Anything that we regard as really sought after, even taking out dating, think about like the Olympics. It's if anyone could win a gold medal, the prestige of it, the excitement of winning it goes drastically down. And it's the same way with you as a woman. If you're throwing yourself at a guy and he feels like it takes no effort to get you, you are so desperate to be loved, you so badly want a boyfriend, there's no effort involved, the excitement of dating you goes drastically down. He doesn't want to put in a lot of effort because it's not hard to date you. You would date anyone who said he kind of liked you. But if you have cultivated an inner sense of self-love, of self-worthiness, and you no longer outsource it to people outside of you, you cultivate it from within, then you are going to be extremely selective about the men that you date. You would not date just any Joe Schmo. Why would you? Why would you? You only want to date a very specific type of man who has earned it. And the irony of this is when a man has to earn it, when he knows that it's really difficult to get you to commit, it's really hard to get a date with you, he perceives the value as higher because now, once he finally gets you to like him back, there's more dopamine associated with it. It really all comes down to brain chemistry, you guys. The more he has to work to get something, the higher the dopamine spike is. And it's not about playing games and playing hard to get. This is really about having a well-rounded life, because when you have a well-rounded life outside of men, you have your career and you have your friend circle and you have your fitness routine. You have all these things that fill up your cup besides the man you're dating. You're not super adamant to commit to him. He has to prove that he is worthy of being in your life. And the irony is when you have those boundaries, you make a man prove to you who he is consistently over time, he associates your value as higher. It has nothing to do with this superficial shit you've all been lied to about. That you have to look a certain way, or you have to dress a certain way, or you have to be a certain size. If it was about that stuff, you guys, every supermodel would be wiped up. And that is not the case because it's not about the superficial stuff. It's about your internal energy. That's why it's hot girl energy that is attractive to men. What's the hot girl energy? Knowing that you are complete with or without a man. And you only want men in your life who add to it. You don't want just any guy. You want a very specific type of guy. Hard if this is making sense, you guys, or if you have more questions about effort equaling he appreciates you more. Awesome. So How to make a man put in more effort. Number one, you need to mirror his effort. You don't initiate. So you need to train him in a way. You guys know people kind of get a little up in arms about this, but I really do believe great boyfriends are not born, they are built. So you're teaching him what behavior is acceptable to you. And so when you are constantly initiating things with him, you're teaching him that he doesn't need to initiate because you're willing to step into that masculine role and do it. So if you want a man who pursues you, who initiates, who chases you, you need to give him space to do that. Stop reaching out first. Stop planning dates. And this is why it comes back to holding that energy of knowing you are already loved. This guy is not the sole source of your happiness and worthiness. Whenever he is, you're in for a rough ride. I'll say that. When he holds the keys to your self-worth, your self-love, oh my God, you're about to go on the roller coaster of your life. Because his feelings inevitably will fluctuate. You have to cultivate those things from within. Then you become bulletproof to life. Then whether he calls you or he doesn't, he asks you on a second date or he doesn't, you're still good, babe. And when you have that energy of like, I don't really need you to a guy, it doesn't even math in their head. They're like, so many women are begging to date me, especially these amazing, like golden retriever, successful, hot men. They're like, every woman is bending over backwards to impress me. Why does this one girl not care? It's because you've cultivated self-love from within. And you know, whether this Joe Schmo chooses you or not, you don't give a fuck. And the irony, the paradox is when you have that energy, every man wants you. That's the thing. You've detached. You don't need him. And he's like, I have to get her to need me. It's that simple. The girl who is so desperate to be loved by a guy, the girl who is so like, I'm trying to think, it's like a vampire from a man for validation. He can feel that. And he knows he needs to put in this much effort to keep her because she's so desperate to be loved. And I'm saying this with zero judgment, you guys. I hope that's clear. I hope this sets some of you free because it has so little to do with your looks or what you wear. All the bullshit you've been told matters. It's your energy. It's cultivating inner self-love. What if we step too far into masculine energy? Do we pull away? Yes. If you are initiating, pull back and start mirroring his behavior. And by that, I mean, if he messaged you every 3 days, message him back every 3 days. And if you're unsure, if you're initiating too much, go through a period of time of not reaching out and see, does he reach out or does the conversation go flat? It's 2025 and we as women are not watering dead plants. So if you go cold, you don't reach out to him and then he doesn't reach out to you, you lost nothing. You are above begging any man to choose you. Begging men to choose you is a losing game. It might work for a while. He might give in, but eventually the jig will be up. He will move on because he was never that interested to begin with. And you guys know, if you're not new to my channel, I am a big advocate for depersonalizing rejection from a man. If you want to really see how unpersonal a man's choice in partner is, watch a reality show. Like I think about on Love Island, there was this one character who, the most amazing girl that was like a 10, she was like a 20 out of 10, a 20 out of 10. She liked this guy. She was committed to him. She was, locked in on him. And she simply was not his type. And so no matter what this girl did, no matter how incredible of a peach she was never the apple that he was looking for. And that it's the same way with your dating life. I know I felt like that when I was younger. There was men it was like, oh my God, how is he not choosing me? Oh my God, what more could I be? What more could I do to get him to choose me? It was a losing game because I wasn't his type. I wasn't what he was looking for whatever random reason. Usually it has to do with the way that men were raised. It's not about you. It's not about you. Depersonalize a man's rejection. It doesn't mean you're not worthy. You're not good enough. It means you and him are not an energetic match. Wish him well and move on. Because there will be a man who from the jump sees you and is like, that one. I want her. I worship the ground she walks. And when you find that guy, you will look back at this guy who's dragging his feet on choosing you, and you will be like, thank you. Thank you. Because now I have a guy who doesn't just choose me because I'm his last option. He actively chooses me above all. So no longer are we watering dead plants. Men who don't choose us, we're wishing him well, and we're moving on to focus on men who do make the effort. What about when they do choose you like that? Then it's an organic connection. What about if they do choose you like that and then they dump you 2 months later? Then it was an act. That's not authentic. He's likely love bombing you. Welcome. How do I know when a man chooses me? What are the markers? Great question. Thank you. When a man chooses you, number one, it's organic. You don't have to constantly wonder what he's up to, why he's not texting you back. You're not overthinking. You're in a state of relaxed because he's in his masculine pursuing you. Number two, this is a big one, you guys. You will love yourself more. With the wrong man, you will constantly wonder why you're not good enough, why he's not stepping up and committing. You will pick yourself apart wondering how you could just be good enough. With the man who is for you, you will feel more comfortable in your skin. I have a close friend like this, where it's like every time I hang out with him, oh my God, he's always filling me up with affirmations, making me feel more comfortable. It is the warmest feeling. The guy who's aligned for you, he will make you love yourself more. He will make you accept yourself more. The guy who makes you question your worth and constantly feel not good enough, that guy is not aligned for you. And the next thing with this, if you're just joining, we're covering how to date like an ex-lover girl, creating the chase with men, so having the energy that makes them want to pursue. Predictability kills the hunt with men. So the psychology term intermittent reinforcement is when sometimes you get a reward and sometimes you don't. And it happens to both men and women. This is not exclusive to men. It makes somebody obsessed and addicted. It's the way that slot machines work in Vegas. Sometimes you put the coin in and you pull the lever and you get a bunch of coins. You get that dopamine rush. Sometimes you do put the coin in, you pull the lever, and sometimes you lose. But because sometimes you win and get that dopamine rush, you keep coming back for more. And it's the same way with men. When he doesn't know when he's going to get a text back from you, you're sporadic texting. So sometimes you text back quickly, sometimes you take a long time to text back. When he doesn't know when he's going to get a date with you, sometimes you're available for dinner, sometimes you are not. It makes him more excited. It makes his brain flood with more dopamine when he does get a date with you. When you are always available, always texting back frequently, always available on the phone, the dopamine goes down. This is not even my personal opinion, you guys. This is fact. So unpredictability to men inspires the hunt. It makes our brains addicted. And so it's not about being toxic, because that's where sometimes toxic relationships kind of get a little derailed. It's using it to your benefit as a woman because you have a well-rounded life. You naturally should not have every night free in your week. And if you do, I would encourage you to fill it with things that fill your cup, whether it be Pilates or your career or nights with your girlfriends. Then you naturally have other things going on besides dating men. And then you're not super available. And the paradox is when you're not super available, he appreciates the little time he gets with you more. Predictability to men is boring. It smothers the flame of desire. And the other thing I would say with this, it talks about in the book, Art of Seduction, that as humans, we all have an internal nostalgia for when we were younger. Because, when we were in high school or, whatever, younger, how freaking easy was life? The idea of a bill, very far off. We were just having fun with our friends. But now as an adult, we all have rent, we all have businesses, we all have things like heavy things to deal with. So all of us, whether we realize it or not, are nostalgic for these younger years because they were fun and carefree. None of us want to feel like we're getting old. And so when you are unpredictable, when you are spontaneous, I swear to God, you become irreplaceable to men because you tap in to that wound that we all have, that vulnerability of nostalgia for our younger years. When we were younger, we didn't have as much responsibility, so we could be spontaneous. It's fun to be spontaneous. And it makes you irreplaceable because so few people do it. It takes time and effort and energy to do that. But it could be as simple as after dinner being like, hey, there's this great ice cream spot I've been wanting to try around the corner. Want to go with me? Or if you're in a committed relationship, it could be, hey, let's take a road trip tomorrow. Let's spontaneously go to Ibiza. Whatever. This makes you irreplaceable. It taps into that innate longing we all have for our younger years. Hard if this is making sense or if you guys have any more questions about being unpredictable to make a man chase after you. That is what makes him hooked. That is what makes him need you. You have to remember that curiosity drives the chase more with men than clarity. So get super comfortable allowing men to wonder. Bring back wondering, bring back curiosity. You as the woman, you want clarity. You want to know where you stand with that man. You make a man feel super comfortable, you're just demolishing the chance that he's going to chase you. He wants the pursuit. Men evolved as hunters. They secretly enjoy having a woman they have to chase after because then they get that dopamine rush when they get her. If you just hand yourself over to any man on a silver platter, number one, you're going to repel men who are in their masculine, who enjoy the hunt, who enjoy the pursuit. Two, you're going to end up with a man in his feminine who is so lazy, lacks such ambition. He wants a woman who just hands herself over. He doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't even have to move from out of his PS2. Great. The last guy you probably want. The last guy I would want. And it's not about playing games and being hot and cold. I'm not promoting toxic behavior. I want to be abundantly clear on that. It's having a well-rounded life of your own. When you have an abundant life and you are super happy, you don't let just any guy come into your life. You vet guys extremely toughly because you want to make sure, is this guy adding to my happiness or is he taking away from it? And statistically, they've done research on this. After a year of being in a relationship, your happiness levels reset. So if you're like a 5 out of 10 happiness before you met that guy, you meet him, you're at a 10 for a year. After a year, you will go back. So you have to make yourself happy now before you meet the dream guy. And the irony is when you are like that, you are super apprehensive of any guy who comes into your life. You're not just like jumping at any guy who enters because you think that a relationship is going to be the answer to everything. Take it from me, you guys. Long-term relationships are work too. It's not like you meet your soulmate and suddenly it's like daisies. It's good, obviously. It's good and it's beautiful and it's an amazing partnership. But the point is, happiness comes from within. It is not something a guy gives you. And I think a lot of women have been misfed that fantasy in rom-coms or romance novels. I'm reading Fourth Wing right now. If any of you have read that, it's so good. But the whole plot of it is like, as soon as she falls in love with this guy, everything's better. She's safe. She has a purpose. She has an identity. It's kind of messing women up to like what actually is happening in a relationship. And on top of that, just to drive home the point to you guys, the happier you are right now without the guy, the better and happier of a man you're going to attract in. If you are miserable with your life, the likelihood you're going to attract in a great, happy guy, slim to none. You're not a vibrational match. And I think this is extremely empowering because the lie that so many women have been told is that it's all external. How do I go to the right bar to meet this guy? What are the places, Carissa, that I go to meet high value men? When in actuality, it's how do you become a vibrational match to your dream man? So then you naturally attract him in. It becomes a magnetic attraction. It's not about being at the right places. It's about being the right person. So it starts today. It starts with your internal state. And then you get to sit back and let the universe do the work. I met my partner through a mutual friend who just randomly called me one day. I was like, hey, Carissa, I think you'd really like this guy. It was that. I didn't have to go to a certain place, But if I met that guy and I was in a super low vibration, super unhappy, he wouldn't have liked me. So it really comes down to your energy, your internal state. All right, step number 3. How do we raise our internal state? I'm going to cover that later in the live. How to shift your mindset. But really, like high level, cultivating a well rounded life outside of men. When you can make yourself super happy before the relationship, when you can feel loved and desired right now before you have the boyfriend, then you naturally attract in that guy. Because if you want a boyfriend who loves you, you have to feel loved right now. And one of the practices I have all my clients do is if they want to attract in an amazing relationship before they go to bed, I have them close their eyes, get into a calm state, and really feel those emotions now that they want to feel in a relationship, whether it be loved or desired or prioritized. Imagine scenarios with your future husband that makes you feel those emotions now. It's getting you into that vibration to attract in experiences on that level. But if you right now, without the relationship, feel unworthy, you're down here, then you're going to attract in more experiences of feeling unworthy and unloved or whatever. You have to feel that state before the boyfriend appears. The conventional wisdom is like, when I meet the guy, I will feel loved. But that's not the way it works. If you feel unloved and you meet the great guy, you're not a vibrational match. Hard if this is making sense, you guys, or if you need me to dissect that even more. You're so welcome, Rebecca. Thank you. Makes sense. Awesome. I'm glad this is hitting you guys. Just what I needed to hear. I'm happy, Val. I'm happy this is helping. Thank you. Wow. Awesome. I'm glad this is helping you guys. All right. Now we're going to get into getting a man to commit. Thank you. Without forcing the what are we conversation, the dreaded what are we. Thank you. Men commit more to things that they chose. This is just an important thing to understand about men in general. And if any of you have been in a relationship with a man, you're probably well aware of this. Anytime you ask him to do something, he wants to do it less. I don't know what it is in men's brains. So the smart women are doing like these clever tricks or like tactics to make a man feel like he made the choice and he's still doing what the woman wanted. So let me explain what that means. If you want a committed relationship, a lot of women wrongfully think that if they force a man into commitment, he will just commit and they will be together. But you force a man to commit to you, he's going to resent you. Resentment's going to build. It's not leading to the relationship that you are seeking. So instead, it's much wiser to make a man feel like he chose the commitment. And here's what you do. When you are in a relationship with a guy and you want to be exclusive, for example, understand, first of all, that you don't want to have this conversation too early. Because if you are exclusive with a guy too early, it's sending the signal that you don't have other options. It's kind of going to make a man question, like, why is she so adamant about being exclusive so early? It kind of reminds me the other day, you guys, there's this pair of jeans I want on Poshmark, and I put a bid on to them, and the girl like countered, and then I didn't respond, and she countered again, and she countered again, and suddenly I was like, wait, why is this chick so desperate to sell these jeans? What's wrong with them? It made me question it. And it's the same way when you are so adamant about being exclusive. He's like, why does she want it so bad? Like, what's really going on here? Remember, the hot girl energy, the ex-lover girl mentality, you have a well-rounded life. This guy is not your savior. He's not the reason you get out of bed in the morning. He's a side plate to the already full meal of your life. So you're not begging him to be in your life. You're not super adamant. So you don't want to have this conversation too early. That's what I want to drive home to you guys. And then when you have that conversation with him, you want to take the power back, because here's what I see women do. They say to men, how do you feel? What do you want? Are you ready to commit? Are you ready to be exclusive? And what is that indirectly saying? You hold the keys to getting what I want. You hold the power in this dynamic. But as strong women, which all of you watching this, you are a strong woman. Believe that, know that, own that. We take the power back in our life and we decide the direction it's going. So instead of giving him the power in the discussion, say something along the lines of, I'm looking for something intentional, but I'm not trying to force something that's not aligned. So you're still being honest. You're being vulnerable. I want an exclusive relationship. But you're also stating, I don't want it to the point, though, that I'm willing to settle. I don't want it to the point that I'm willing to force something that's not right. That's so empowered. It's kind of like indirectly saying, I have one foot in and one foot out. And anytime a guy knows that you will walk away from him, if push comes to shove, if you are forced to choose between him and yourself, if you have to choose between your feelings for him and your self-respect, you will always choose yourself. That is high value woman energy. That is the kind of woman men are like, I have to lock this girl down. If you make a man know that he is so important to you, that you are willing to sacrifice your needs and desires and wants to fit him, to keep him in your life, get ready, buckle up, because you're in for a rough ride. When a man knows you will stay through everything, he's about to put you through everything. So you're still being emotionally mature and saying, I'm looking for something intentional, but you're giving the caveat, but I'm not trying to force anything. And then the follow-up to this, obviously, ideally, he would say, I'm looking for the same thing. Let's be exclusive, da, da, da. But if not, you don't want to threaten to leave. You don't want to say, well, if you don't commit to me, I'm going to bounce. If you don't do what I want, then I'm going to head out. You want to embody that energy. So if I'm having this conversation with a guy and I'm saying, I want to be exclusive and, but I'm not looking to force anything that's not meant to be. And he says, that's great, Carissa, but I'm not ready to be exclusive. I'd say, okay, good to know. Good to know we're in different places. And then I would shift my energy after that conversation to deprioritize him. Now I know we want different things. And remember, because all of us on here are working on cultivating self-love, inner self-worth, a man doesn't give that to us. We're not upset. We're not trying to force something that's not right. We're like, okay, thank you for showing me who you are. And I'm going to focus on other men who have goals similar to mine, who have desires of having a committed relationship. You have to really hammer this into your head. Men do not respond to your words. They solely respond to your actions. That's why some of you, when you were having the "what are we" conversation, and you're like, "Well, if you don't step up, I'm gonna walk," but you're still sitting there, you're begging him, you're still entertaining him after he strung you along for a period of time. He's like, "I don't care what she says. She's showing me she's not willing to walk away." And his respect for you, unfortunately, is gonna diminish. Hard if this is making sense or if you guys have any other questions. What if they don't let you walk away? Then they need to step up and commit to you. They can't have their cake and eat it too. They want you in their life, and they need to cut off the other women they're letting have access to them. And the thing with commitment I see happen quite a bit with women is we think as women, okay, at 3 months, he's not willing to commit to me. My hair is wild, you guys. At 3 months, if he's not willing to commit to me, I'll stick it out for like 3 more months, because at 6 months, he will have invested more time into me and he'll be much more likely to commit. But at 6 months, he's not willing to, and then 9, and then a year. And then as a woman, you're like, I don't want to walk away from this guy. I just sunk an entire year of my life into him. And this is how women end up in like year-long situationships. And you guys, if I hear one more amazing girl get down bad in a shitty situationship, I might lose it. All of you are so above that. Because the way that men think is differently than you. They think, okay, if I don't commit to her at 3 months and she keeps me around at 6 months, then I really don't have to commit, because she's already told me she's willing to be a side chick, or she's willing to be an option to me. And then at 9 months, it's even lower. The chances he's going to commit to you continues to go down and down and down, because you are indirectly teaching him it's okay to keep you as an option. That's why you always have to be willing to walk away. You have to choose yourself over your feelings for any man. Remember, at the end of the day, no matter how great that guy is, he has a 6-pack, he has a 7-figure bank account, whatever. I don't know what else you got. He's really funny. He makes you laugh. If he's not going to commit to you, if he's not willing to choose you and cut off all these side girls, he's not the right guy for you. A guy like that is ultimately replaceable. The man who's irreplaceable is the guy who treats you well, the guy who doesn't make you question your worth. And the irony is you never have to replace men like that, because they know how to fucking act. So don't threaten to leave. Pull back with your energy. If at 3 months, 3 months is really the marker. That is when you know him well enough. That is when he knows you well enough to commit to you. And if he is dragging his feet, take that as a sign that he is not the right man for you. Notice how I did not say you're not good enough. If you were better, he would commit. All of these lies that have been put into women's heads. It's simply you and him are not aligned. But wish him well and move on and prioritize other men. Other men who are not going to let a good girl pass them by. Other men who aren't commitment phobes. Other men who aren't stuck in Peter Pan syndrome. So, being intentional, communicating what you want with that guy, not threatening to leave. Peter Pan syndrome is these like men, and primarily I see it in like LA and New York, who never want to grow up. They're the men you see on dating apps that are like 40 and they mark like, not sure what I'm looking for. Like, really, bro? You have a receding hairline and you don't know what you're looking for? It's so lame. It's so lame. All right, heart if this is making sense or if you guys have any other questions before I move on. Getting him to commit without forcing the what are we conversation. It's really the mindset shift from you're not waiting for him to make the decision. You're evaluating if he is aligned for you, if he's the right guy for you long term. Awesome. I'm glad this is helping. All right, if you're just joining, we're covering today how to date like an ex-lover girl. You're so welcome. So the next step, how to keep a man interested without overgiving. Thank you. I'm glad this is helping. How to keep a man interested without overgiving. Understand that the human brain craves comfort and surprise. So most women only provide one. But when you can give a man both comfort and surprise, I would say novelty is maybe the better word. Do I work with men? Yes, I also work with men. When you give a man novelty, that is when he will chase you like a shark to blood. And that is where a lot of times, once women get in a relationship, they talk about how the passion is kind of gone and the chemistry has kind of dwindled. A lot of times it's because you've gotten in a routine. Understandably, you're in a long relationship. But infuse novelty into the relationship. It sparks desire. It sparks excitement. It's the same way if you think of your favorite dessert. Let's think of like chocolate cake. I have so many food analogies, you guys. I have such a sweet tooth. I think about chocolate cake. If I eat chocolate cake once a month, every time I have it, it feels really special. But if I eat it every single day, suddenly the excitement I get of having it is going down and down. The novelty is being diminished. And so infusing novelty into your relationships with men, that keeps it exciting, it keeps it interesting. And it doesn't mean you have to always be thinking of new things to do or like new sex positions or whatever. It could be that. But it could also just be doing something exciting, not always going to dinner at the same place every weekend. The opposite of routine. That's what I would drive home. Routine is boring, it's bland. Do exciting things. Book the trip, take the vacation, like make life fun again. And understand that unpredictability to men is addictive. They kind of love women they can't ever figure out. And it's not about always like I don't know, I'm trying to think of the right way. It's not like about pretending to always be evasive or like be, it's about keeping yourself as the center of your world. Because when your gravity comes from within instead of from a man, you're always pulling him into your orbit. But unfortunately, women, especially I see this happen with a lot of young women, they meet men, they fall in love with them, they get really excited about them. And then that man becomes their entire identity. They don't hang out with their friends anymore. They only hang out with him. They kind of ditch all their hobbies, all their interests, and they just do stuff he wants to do. And over time, this becomes disinteresting to men. Yeah, we've all been there. There's no shame in this. When you are the center of your life, you have things that are going on outside your relationship. You have girls' nights with no guys. You have Pilates, you have, your career, whatever it is. He's always interested. He's always chasing. Emotional independence is hot. He's not the source of your joy. He's just a bonus. Anytime a man is the source of your happiness, you're in for a rough ride, because no matter how amazing of a guy he is, people inherently are very up and down. And anytime, if he's the source of your happiness, he has a bad day, you're going to personalize it. This is like, especially if you have an anxious attachment, you're going to take all his behavior very personal. And then you're always going to be at the mercy of his emotions. The sexy energy, the empowered energy, is being in control of your own emotions. Yeah. So really evaluate, what is something I gave up in my last relationship that I never want to give up again in my future relationships? So I think about when I was younger. When I was 25, I fell deeply in love with this guy who was incredible. He was a great boyfriend. But all of a sudden, I stopped prioritizing hanging out with my friends, and I just hung out with his friends. And we did everything together. We were never apart. It was super codependent. I always talk about this. If you guys aren't new to my channel, you know I'm a certified Tantra coach. Tantra is all about the masculine and the feminine energies. We think about masculine, feminine, the space in the middle, you know what that does? It creates desire. Space in a relationship is healthy. Me and my boyfriend, we travel so much. I go like a week or two without seeing him. When I see him, it's super hot and heavy because I haven't seen him. Whereas when we're together for a week, by the end of it, I'm like, leave me alone. Space in a relationship is very healthy. You have to get out of the mentality of thinking like you have to be on top of each other. So if you're just joining, we're covering how to date like an ex-lovergirl. And so the next topic we're going to talk about, hard if this is helping you guys, hard if you have any questions so far that we can cover. Good. I'm glad this is helping. So we just covered how to keep a man interested without overgiving. So it's novelty, being unpredictable, feeling secure within yourself to not always be on top of him, having a life of your own, hobbies, friends, fitness routine, interest, career, and keeping yourself as the source of your joy. He is an added bonus. Thank you. So now we're going to get into energy dynamics that flip the power with men. So, power leaks when you over explain to a man, when you seek constant reassurance, or you overreact. I just did a video on this, but understand that lacking emotional control, I would even say like emotional regulation, makes it really easy for men to control you because now they know the buttons to push to upset you. When you have meditated, I'd say that's like the number one thing to developing emotional regulation. It's much more difficult for men to control you. They don't know the specific buttons that make you fly off the handle. And I'm telling you guys, I don't know what it is in the male brain, probably needs to be studied. When they know the button that pisses you off, they can't help but push it. I don't know why. I don't know why. So when you have great emotional regulation, you become powerful because people don't know the buttons to push to set you off. We talked about this earlier. It's having one foot in and one foot out. It's that queen energy. You think a queen is flying off the handle over anything? No. She has good emotional regulation. And also with this is stop trying to prove your worth to men. This is something I see happen with a lot of women because a lot of women as younger children, you know, whatever your situation was, maybe you had a dad who was in and out of your life, or maybe you had a mother who had really high expectations of you. It could be multiple things. But a lot of people associate having, or they have the narrative internally that you have to earn love. And then as adults, get into relationships with men who don't actively choose them, and then feel the need or feel the desire to get them to choose them. When a guy doesn't love them back, they just see, oh my God, I need to earn it. I need to work harder. I need to convince him I'm worthy of love. Let me state abundantly plainly, you are worthy of love right now. Not when you lose 5 pounds, not when you buy the designer bag, not when you get the promotion at work. You are worthy of love because you're a fucking human being. You don't have to earn it. It's really that simple. And so if that is your internal story, if when a man leans back, it makes you lean in, the first thing is awareness. What is the narrative that's going on internally with me? When there's space in the relationship, do I feel like I need to fill it and prove myself to him? Number one is awareness. Number two is choosing again. It's knowing this man does not choose your worth. He does not decide if you're good enough or bad enough or whatever. And when you get to that place where you cultivate worthiness from within, whether anybody chooses you, whether you get the job, whether you get the guy, whatever, you become so fucking bulletproof to life, it's dumb. It is like nothing can hurt you. Because you no longer are seeking validation externally. You're cultivating it from within. These people are magnetic. Every time I come across someone like this, it's like, oh my God, can we be friends right now? It is so attractive. Why? Because people like this who love themselves so deeply give all of us permission to love ourselves deeply. It wears off on you. So get out of the or don't give in, I guess, to the temptation to prove yourself to a man. You are above that. Anytime you catch yourself talking about all your achievements and trying to prove yourself, stop and be like, wait, what's going on right now? My life started an hour ago, but you guys, some of you helped me with this, so thank you. All my lives are now being uploaded to YouTube. So if you missed a live or you want to go back and revisit them, they're all on YouTube. So stop proving your value to men. Let him feel it through how you move. Let him feel it. When he asks you to dinner last minute, he's going to know that you value yourself and love yourself because you don't accept a last minute date. When he texts you in the middle of the night at 2 a.m., seeing if you want to come over to hang out, and you leave him on red, he's going to be like, wow, this girl respects herself. It's kind of like that saying, don't talk about it, be about it. If any of you are going over to a guy's house in the middle of the night, I forbid it. Stop doing that. All of you are above that. All right. I love that saying too. Yeah. So the unforgettable woman formula. How to be the one who got away, the woman he can never replace, the woman he looks for in every woman. Being unforgettable is not about being perfect. Studies show, you guys, that people who we perceive as perfect are actually less appealing. That is fact. They did a study where I can't remember what it was specifically, but it was like a woman came in and spilled her coffee, and people rated her on attractiveness. And then another woman came in and she looked really polished and super together. People like the person who spilled coffee more. Why? Because it's relatable. I feel this way. Sometimes when I meet people in New York City who are like so perfect, it's not relatable. They're not human. Whereas when I meet someone who like trips a little bit, it's like, oh, I've been there. It's cute. It's like spunky. Get out of the habit of thinking you're only worthy of an amazing relationship if you're perfect. That's a lie that women have been told. Being unforgettable is not about being perfect. It is about leaving an emotional imprint on that man. It's about having such a deep, long-lasting connection with him that he cannot replace it. And I would even say, you guys, some of you reach out to me that the guy you really liked ended the relationship and moved on really quickly. And why I empathize with that. That is really painful to watch someone you care about move on super quickly. Also understand that your individuality is your superpower. No matter how amazing that girl is that he's moved on with, she's never going to wake up one morning and be you. She's never going to have all the very unique qualities that you possess. It's not you versus her. And understanding that, I think, is going to hopefully set some of you free. It's not about being perfect to men. It's about leaving an emotional imprint. And the other thing that makes you unforgettable to men is when you chose yourself over their fucking games. If you sit around, this is some weird paradox, you guys, especially with F-boys. If you sit around and play their game, for whatever reason, they think less of you. They don't really see the role that they played in it. They're like, "Why is this girl disrespecting herself and letting me, like, put her in on the back burner or be hot and cold?" Like, you would think they would take some responsibility for the way that they are, but no, they just judge you. So understand when you allow a man to disrespect you, he is lowering your value in his head. When a man disrespects you and you choose yourself over him and you walk away, obviously a little part of him is going to be annoyed that you didn't play his stupid game. But you know what? He respects you at the end of the day. He's respecting you for choosing yourself over dealing with him mistreating you. And I personally think that men know on some level that they are mistreating a woman. They're not totally awry to like the fact that they're being an asshole. So that is why, like, when a man disrespects you, it's a bit of a losing game because if you stay, he's judging you for dealing with his disrespect. Or if you walk away, then he at least respects you. And I talk about this. I did a video on this. This is from the book 48 Laws of Power. It is so much better to be respected by a man than to be liked. The majority of women, myself included, were raised to be the nice girl. We all wanted to be liked so bad. Guess what that did? It screwed us over as adults because now we prioritize, or we naturally prioritize, being liked over respecting ourselves. Fuck that. Choose yourself over this man who's mistreating you. Because mark my words, 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Mark my words, you will look back at that situation with that guy who disrespected you one day. When you have lost emotions, when inevitably the relationship went up in flames, you will look back at that guy and you will be devastated that you allowed a man to drag you through the mud. It's difficult to see in the moment when you are emotionally attached to him. But I'm telling you, I think back to my younger 20s before I had my glow up, before I really cultivated self-love, and I think about the bullshit I let slide with men and I just cringe. 10 years ago, I'm still like, "Oh God, why did I do that?" It's honestly a bit devastating. So have that higher vision. Like, if a guy is disrespecting you, one day you will regret it. You have to walk away. Yes, Susan, you know. You have to walk away and choose yourself. Hard if you've ever had that experience. Because, yes, I was still learning then, totally. But I do think it helps in the moment to have the awareness of like, all right, I'm just emotionally attached to this guy. You never, ever will look back and regret choosing yourself over a guy who's not actively choosing you, or just in general. You'll never regret choosing yourself and having your own back. I always tell you guys, you have to treat yourself the same way you would treat your best friend. If your best friend came to you and said this guy was like treating her like shit and hot and cold and dating 6 women and wanted to sleep with her, but then wanted to go ghost for a few days and come in and out of her life, you would look at your best friend who like deserves the world on a platter and you would be like, fuck that guy. Never talk to him again. But then it's so difficult when you are in that situation to have that same attitude that you deserve better than this guy who's not treating you well. So it helps if you were stuck in that situation, it helps to really imagine, what would I say if my best friend was dating this guy I'm dating? Or even better, what would I tell my daughter if my daughter was dating this guy? And it helps to remove your emotions from the situation because a lot of times your emotion, your attachment to a man can cloud your vision of him. And it helps to really assess if this is the right guy for you. if his behavior is acceptable or if you need to walk away. Hard if this is making sense or if you guys want me to dive into that more. Another mindset shift is to stop trying to be irreplaceable to a man and be irreplaceable to yourself. Always have your own back. Thank you, Susan. Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad this is making sense. So I want you guys to really think, if you're watching this live, I want you to really think, what is one energetic shift I'm going to make tomorrow? What's one energetic shift? You're no longer going to prove yourself to men. You're no longer going to beg them to choose you. You're no longer going to let them come in and out of your life. I really want you guys to not just listen to these lives, but I want your love lives to be what you dream of. All of you can cultivate that, but it takes reflection. No longer going to make excuses for breadcrumbs. I love that. No, no more breadcrumbs. What else, you guys? What's an energetic shift you're going to make tomorrow? What are you no longer going to tolerate in your life, in your love life? What's behavior that you're unsubscribing from with men? Disrespect. That's a good one. Disrespect. Maybe it's hot and cold behavior. Be attached as fuck and let whatever happens happen. Be detached. I love that. Low effort. So good. Not obsessing. Letting men pressure me for intimacy before I'm ready. I love that one. Their mood isn't mine to fix. So fucking true. It's so easy to get into that mindset. Taking things for what they are in the present moment, disconnecting. So good, Christina. Energy is off and it seems like we weren't aligned. Yeah. Unsubscribing. I love that. Not looking at my phone at certain hours. Great idea. Zero tolerance for gaslighting, dishonesty, and disrespect. So good. I love that one. No longer entertaining men who want to go 50-50. Yeah, fuck that. Matching a man's energy. So good. You guys, I love these. Blocking toxic energy. So good, Christina. So after this live, you guys wake up tomorrow, you have to make the conscious decision to change your behavior with men. It doesn't happen overnight, but it takes awareness. Focusing on yourself. That's good. Not dating avoidance anymore. So good. It takes awareness to change your behavior. Remember, on this channel, none of us are victims. So when you're a victim, you're like just going through life, letting it drive you. All of us on here are victors. And that takes assessing, all right, I'm stuck in a situationship for a year. Instead of playing a victim and blaming the man, it's taking responsibility for how you showed up so that you can show up and choose differently again in the future. It's not about shaming yourself and putting yourself down, but it's about evaluating how could you have shown up differently to get a different result in the future. It's taking back the power in your life so that you're not constantly repeating these toxic cycles with men. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I do feel sometimes like you guys know, I really truly believe true friends tell you the hard stuff. And I'm your real friend, so I'm going to tell you the hard stuff. I'm not going to just feed your toxic patterns like I do feel like some other TikTokers do. I want all of you to fall so deeply in love. I want you to know that pleasure. And it takes assessing how can I, as a woman, show up differently to attract in a different kind of man, to not tolerate disrespect. The one that you are seeking is you. You hold the power. So now I want to cover micro behaviors that lower your value to men and how to reclaim these. How to reclaim these. One that I see happen is women who over apologize. They're always saying sorry. I think women in general, like we always say sorry way, way too much. Don't over apologize. When you over apologizing, you're not having your own back. The same with over explaining to a man. Over apologizing and over explaining are energetic begging to men. The moment you stop chasing is the moment a man starts to feel the lack. So if you are always chasing after him, there's no space for him to chase after you. And I get this feedback from you guys too. Like, you're like, but if I don't chase after him, if I don't initiate, I'm never going to hear from him. Cool. Then he wasn't the right guy for you. All of you are above begging any man to choose you. There are some men who are not in their masculine who don't know to pursue you. That's okay. Yeah, cut him loose. Same goes for a guy who wants to go 50-50 on the first date, you guys. You're better off alone, in my opinion. You're better off alone. You're better off alone than chasing a guy and wanting him to pick you. You have to stay present and not date a guy for his potential. When you date a guy for his potential, you break your own heart because you will get so attached to the outcome with that man, so attached to who he could be if he would just commit, if he would just see your value, that you stop dating him for who he truly is. Whether he ever reaches that potential or not, we will never know. But he could or he could not. And when you wait around for him to reach his potential, oh my God, talk about a losing game. I saw this quote the other day and it was like, potential is just what you would do in that person's shoes. It's really just imagined. It's like how you would act if you were that guy, how you would act if you had the opportunity to date you, woman. But he's not you. And a man does not change for a woman. That's a him to him thing. Yeah, it's projecting. Exactly. And I also think realizing like when you guys are dating, there are certain qualities that you can change in a man, and there are certain qualities that you will not be able to change in a man. So, like, one thing you can change is like if he has really bad style. God knows, I've dated guys who have like very questionable style choices. That's an easy thing to change. We can go shopping, work on his wardrobe. Can I teach a guy loyalty? Fuck no. I can't teach a guy to have my back when I'm not in the room. That's something that is not like a potential thing. That's not changeable. Character is very hard to teach men, but like the more superficial things, the icks that you guys have, some of those can change. And so if you are actively dating right now and seeking a partner, really assess the things that you don't like about a guy. All right, is this changeable? Can we work on this? Because in a relationship, you're really coming together and both of you will change a little bit. It's always close. You guys, most men don't have great style, in my opinion. I was a fashion designer before I became a dating coach, so I have strong opinions on men's style. But you'll it's malleable when you come together in a relationship. So realizing like certain things you can change, but things like character, things like loyalty, things like respecting women, things like not being a commitment phobe, those are really difficult to change. You can't really teach a man that. Should we fix the style or just leave it? I would fix it. That's something, but I would do it in a positive way. I'm like, babe, I love when you wear that button down shirt. You look so sexy. Then he wants to do it again. Instead of trying to change him in a negative way, like, oh my God, you look awful. What is that shirt? No matter how tempting it can be to say that stuff. I think so. If you know, you know. If you've been through a guy with bad style, if you've survived about a guy with bad style, then you know. The other thing I see happen a lot with women, and this is actually a biological impulse, women start to treat men like they're children. And what do we as women give to our children? Unconditional love. But what do we give to men in our life? Conditional love. Anytime that you give a man unconditional love, buckle up. You're about to go on a ride. There has to be conditions. There has to be boundaries surrounding allowing a man to be in your life. He's not your child. You're not his mother. This is the overforgiving that we're talking about. If he cheats on you time and time again and you keep forgiving him, having like that savior mentality, how are you letting yourself down? And I'm not the therapist. Yeah, very true. Yes, and there's a difference between mothering and nurturing, totally. As a woman, you're kind. Like I would always promote you guys to be kind, but men do not get infinite chances with you. I know, like I've fallen into this habit, not with partners, but with friends before. And then when the disrespect gets worse and worse, I have to take responsibility and be like, how did I allow this friendship to get to this point? I had a very tough mother growing up. She was very hard on me. And one of her sayings was, people treat us the way we allow them to treat us. So instead of playing victim to like, oh my God, he did this awful thing to me, it's like, how did you let his disrespect slide in subtle ways for it to get to this point? And the way that I see it play out with a lot of women, a lot of my clients, is that they unfortunately fall into this mothering role and allow men to get away with like near murder. There has to be conditions surrounding your relationship. There has to be boundaries. And the thing is, when you get into this mothering role, he becomes less attracted to you. That's the hard facts, you guys. You think if you're super forgiving to that man, he's going to like you more. He's less attracted to you. He likes you less. Maybe he will enjoy it because as his mother, it's convenient for him. There's comfort to that. But there's not passion. There's not sexiness. That's why there's so many scenarios of men who have the most amazing wife at home, who mothers their children and takes care of them. Who does he cheat on her with? His secretary, who thinks he's really annoying, who makes this face when he comes around. So don't mother a man. It's a losing game, no matter what. And fundamentally, at the end of the day, dating like an ex-lover girl is having a level of detachment. Detachment does not mean you don't care. I think that's a big misconception online. Detachment does not mean that you don't care or you don't like him. Detachment means you like yourself more. You're never trying to prove something to him. You're always willing to walk away and choose yourself over him. It's having a level of surrender that if he is your person, it will work out. Yeah, you're okay either way. You're surrendered to the outcome. You're not trying to get a guy to choose you. I always tell women, because a lot of times I will meet with clients for the first time and they'll be like, I really messed it up with this guy. I sent him this text and XYZ happened. And if I hadn't sent him this one text, everything would be fine. With the right man, the margin of error is so small. There's almost nothing you can do to prevent that guy from being in your life because you're two people who actively choose each other. But with the wrong man, the margin of error, huge. There's almost nothing you can do to keep him in your life because he's not aligned for you. So if you're in that state right now of overthinking and overanalyzing, and what if I hadn't done this, and what if I hadn't said that, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of moot. Because if he was the right guy for you, short of like cheating on him, there's nothing you could do to keep him away. That's the hard facts. But when you try to force something that's not meant for you, eventually you can't sustain that. I know I was there in my younger years when I was younger dating. There was men I would do anything to keep in my life, and it was just like exhausting. It drains you as a woman. It's so much better to be with men who fill you, who make you love yourself more. And you don't have to hold that guy. And the crazy thing is, when you let go of an outcome, you become magnetic. People who are detached, people who don't care if you like them or don't like them, those people are magnetic. Anytime you have to force something, that's how you know you've gone too far. So when you guys go on a first date, for example, a lot of times I see women kind of in their head on the first date, and they're like, "Does he like me?" And they've already visualized how it could be if they got married to this guy. And they're so attached to an outcome. They're so attached to a second date that they're constantly analyzing in their head. Does he like me? Are we vibing? Da 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 da. Da. And they're just in their head the whole first date. The magnetic energy is showing up to the first date and being like, whether we end up together or not, I don't care. I'm just here to have fun for tonight. And then you're super present and you're super fun. And the irony is that gets you a second date. You don't care if he likes you. Your future's not on the line. You know, whether it's him or somebody else, one day you will be married. One day you will be with your soulmate. If he invites you on a trip, should he pay for the flights? Yeah, I think so. All right, awesome, you guys. That concludes my live on how to date like an ex-lover girl. So I have about 10 more minutes. Let's get into a few questions because I saw that you guys posted a few that I didn't have time to get to. You are so welcome. I promised you guys to do more lives, so I'm trying to come through on that. If he asks you out, but he doesn't give details on the date for days, what do you do? If a guy doesn't confirm your date by 2 p.m. the day of, I would say you don't have a date. I would literally plan on you're not going out. That's why a lot of times, like, that's a method of men who breadcrumb. They will say, like, oh, yeah, I'd love to get together this weekend. But they don't follow it up with concrete plans of like when to meet and what to do. And so women are clinging to, like, he said we're going to hang out, or he said we're going to do this. He's just trying to keep you on the hook. So, whatever a man says, throw it in the trash. Men can say anything, and God knows they do. Words are cheap. Action is where the money is. Action costs him money, takes effort, takes energy. That's how he actually feels about you. It's back to that saying, don't talk about it, be about it. Don't talk about wanting to see me this weekend, make the plans. In my opinion, that's the sexy energy, is a guy who like actually does the shit, not a guy who's constantly talking about everything he wants to do together. Where do I cash that? Yes, and it's wasting your time. It's a turnoff when a guy doesn't plan anything. I totally agree. How long should it take for a guy who's 2.5 hours away to plan a first date? We text and call every day. Really within a week. I talk about this a lot to you guys about online dating. I feel like more and more people are just so turned off by online dating because it's making people, it's feeling almost like disposable. So when you match with a guy on online dating, he should make plans to see you within the week. And if he's traveling, either way, he can still make plans for when he's going to be back. Or if he's 2.5 hours away, he can make plans for when he's going to be in your town. But there are these creature men who live on dating apps who have, it's so beyond strange to me. They have no intention of meeting you in real life or being a boyfriend to you. They solely want your attention to feed their ego. And so they will become pen pals to you. So weird. But I see it happen all the time. Women will message me, or I'll have clients tell me about, like, They've been messaging back and forth with a guy for weeks, months, years, but they've never met him. And then women are really reluctant to walk away because they've already invested all this time into getting to know him. But a week, that's why a week is the cutoff. A man who actually wants to date you doesn't want to text you back and forth all day. And also understanding texting is not forming the connection you think it is. There are times that I've like, before when I was dating, when I would text back and forth with a guy and he'd be really funny, but in person he was a dud. And then inversely, there was men who sucked at texting, but were such a vibe in person. So it's really difficult to pick up on whether that guy is a good match for you via texting. You're so welcome, babe. I'm so glad it was helpful. And just a reminder, you guys, if you're just joining, this live will be posted on my YouTube. I'm going to post all my lives on my YouTube now. So if you miss it, or there were a few points you want to go back, or you want to learn this lesson while you clean your house at a later time, have it on in the background, whatever. They're all up on YouTube. All right, I have 5 more minutes, you guys. What else? Other questions I didn't answer yet? I'm so glad it helped. Skills to help with detachment. Detachment is really cultivating and understanding that with or without this guy, you're going to be good. Because a lot of times women get attached because they think, like, whatever reason, this guy's really hot. If we date, I'm going to feel really validated. Or this guy's really successful. If we date, it's going to open a lot of doors for me, whatever. So remaining detached is really realizing that no matter what, you're good. I always say the universe is your sugar daddy. Like, you are provided for no matter what. And when you cultivate that, you seek that from within instead of externally, it makes it easier to know, like, whether this guy chooses you or not, it doesn't determine your worth. And then you can detach. You can allow people to be who they are. And it's much easier too to evaluate a man for who he truly is when you're detached. Because when you're attached to a certain outcome, you'll start to see all his red flags, all his red flags as beige. And you're starting to think, oh, we can make this work. He's never had a girlfriend before, but I'll be the one. No. When you're detached, you allow people the space to be who they are. And then if it's an organic connection, it materializes. And if it's not meant to be, you just sit back and allow it to dissipate. Do I think EFT techniques help with nervous system rewiring? I do. It talks about EFT in the book Body Keeps Score, a very famous book on basically how your body holds trauma. We think because we're not thinking about the event that happened that we've moved on, but a lot of times your body stays stuck in that past event. And so EFT is a really great technique to helping your body realize this trigger is over. I don't need to be in fight or flight. I'm safe now. I think it's a really great tool. My YouTube is the same handle as my TikTok. It's at exlovergirl_Carissa. And you can also find the link in my profile. in my TikTok profile. And if you can't find it, then DM me and I'll send it to you. Yeah, no problem. It's so good to chat with you guys. I love hearing what's going on in your dating lives. All right, you guys, I'm going to sign off and get some stuff done. It's 10 o'clock in New York City now. Thank you so much for all your questions. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's so great to hear from you guys. If there's any other topics that you want me to cover on the lives, I covered situationships yesterday. This weekend, I covered the psychology of making a man chase you. If there's any topics you're like, this would be super helpful, please send them to me. Please DM them to me, because I want to make sure I'm doing topics that are applicable to your guys' lives and your dating lives and what you're facing with men right now. I'll do one on breakups soon, because that's another one. Breakups are really common in the summer because men are out and about. They're getting ideas in their head. When is my next live? Probably tomorrow night. I don't want to say like no matter what, because like 80% sure. And I'll try to start posting.